So PayPal's suddenly dressing like a banker, Shopify's diving headfirst into chaos, and Visa is finally getting serious about crypto. Something massive is happening in the world of money, and it all comes down to one simple, powerful word: control.
For years, right, the biggest names in Fintech have all been singing the same song. We're not banks, we're tech companies, or platforms. We're your friendly neighborhood partner. Well, this week, it feels like they just looked at that entire strategy and basically said, lol, never mind. This is a huge, fundamental shift.
And look, we're not talking about some small startups here. We're talking about three absolute giants: PayPal, Shopify, and Visa. They are tearing up the very playbook they spent the last decade writing for everyone else. So what is this new playbook all about? Well, it's a huge move away from being the friendly enabler who just helps other people do business. Now, it's all about taking direct control of the core infrastructure of commerce itself. Welcome to the fine, I'll-do-it-myself era.
You can really see the change here. The old story was all about, hey, we're partners, we're just a platform for you to use. But the new reality? It's about owning the systems, controlling the financial rails, and literally becoming the infrastructure that everybody else has to build on top of. The whole mindset has flipped from collaboration to domination.
All right, let's kick things off with PayPal. The original fintech disruptor, the company that started it all, is making a move that seems to fly in the face of its entire history. It feels like they're trading in the tech startup hoodie for a full-on pinstripe suit.
And that's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? Why would a company that spent 2 decades shouting from the rooftops that it wasn't a bank suddenly show up and ask regulators to please let them become one? It feels like a total 180.
Well, the answer comes down to that word again: control. See, as a middleman, PayPal was always kind of slow, a bit expensive, and always had to ask its banking partners for permission. But as a bank, it can hold deposits itself, lend money on its own terms, and push out new products at the speed of tech, not the speed of banking. Suddenly, all that regulatory headache is just a small price to pay for that kind of freedom.
This is such a fundamental shift. The whole era of fintechs trying to attack the banks from the outside, that's over. The new game is to become the bank, to absorb all of its power, and to control the entire system from the inside out.
Okay, so let's shift gears to our second giant, Shopify, and see how this theme continues. Now, their move is a little different. It's about embracing the absolute beautiful chaos of the world's fastest-growing and maybe most controversial marketplace, Temu. I know what you're thinking, because this one feels weird, right? Shopify built its entire brand on helping merchants create these premium, beautiful, independent online stores. And Temu is, well, it's the exact opposite. It's a chaotic race to the bottom on price. So why on earth would Shopify get in bed with them?
Because Shopify gets it. They understand their real mission isn't just about premium vibes. It's about being the essential, invisible infrastructure that gets their merchants' products in front of buyers wherever those buyers happen to be. A few years ago, that meant a deep integration with Instagram. Today, whether we like it or not, it also means Temu.
And that right there is the real strategy. This isn't about Shopify becoming like Temu, not at all. This is a pure power play. It's about making sure that as Temu gets bigger and bigger, it is impossible for them to ignore Shopify's massive army of sellers. Shopify is planting itself as the toll booth on the superhighway to Temu.
And finally, let's talk about the titan of traditional finance itself, Visa. They're making their big move on a totally new digital frontier: stablecoins. And trust me, this is way beyond just an experiment now. This is becoming a core part of their business.
So again, you got to ask, why the sudden shift? For years, crypto was a side project tucked away in an innovation lab. But now, Visa is actively helping its biggest clients. We're talking major banks use stablecoins. These digital currencies pegged to things like the US dollar. So what changed? Why is this suddenly a top priority?
It's really 3 things happening all at once. First, Visa's clients, the big banks, are terrified of getting left behind in the next big payments revolution. Second, stablecoins aren't just a theory anymore. They're already being used for real-world international payments. And third, Visa is smart. They know it's way, way better to own the new financial pipes than to stand by and watch someone else build them.
So the bottom line is this: Visa honestly doesn't care if a payment is made in dollars or yen or a digital stablecoin. All they care about is that the transaction flows through their infrastructure.
They aren't fighting the future, they're just building another rail for their train to run on.
So, okay, let's zoom out. We've just looked at three very different moves from three industry giants, but when you put them all together, a single incredibly powerful strategy snaps into focus. It is all about owning the rails.
And this chart just lays it out perfectly. You've got PayPal going after raw banking control, you have Shopify securing distribution control, and you have Visa cementing its absolute hold on settlement control. There are three different chess moves, but they're all aimed at the same endgame: owning a critical layer of the money stack.
So what does this all mean for us? It means the most powerful companies in finance have realized that just using the system, or being a layer on top of it, isn't enough anymore. The ultimate, unbeatable advantage is to become the system itself. And that leaves us with one massive, fascinating question for the future. You look at a company like Apple, with its insane control over distribution, its brand trust, its mountains of cash. They could absolutely make a play just like this. The only question isn't if they'll do it, but when. So who do you think is next to try and seize the rails?